Welcome to the Packaging Etc. podcast, where we will discuss all things packaging and some things not. We will hear from professionals across all areas of the industry: design, engineering, manufacturing, and many more. We will learn about packaging trends, new technologies, and cutting-edge innovations. This podcast is all about showcasing our favorite parts of the industry, the people, and giving them a platform to share their stories and their knowledge of packaging. Let's take this journey together. And now, your host, Matt Mulvey.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. Returning for another episode today as co-host is my good friend, Kristyn Shaner. Kristyn, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me back.
So let's dive right in. We have a lot to unravel today. And today we are talking packaging pet peeves. Kristyn and I have both developed our top 3 most annoying packages or packaging formats, and we're here to share them with each other and with all of you fine people listening in. One caveat: we solve 0 problems in this episode. We are here to complain only. Total bitch fest, like the Lilith Fair. Just kidding. So, Kristyn, any color commentary before we get started?
I'm a mom with 2 kids under 5, and you'll hear that in my tone as I express my frustration over the next hour.
Fair enough.
I won't use no expletives, but you'll feel it.
So I'm of the generation where I got to watch some Dave Letterman late night and how he handled his top 10 fill in the blank. So we're going to follow a similar format with this. Before we get to the top, well, at least for us, top 3, I wanted to give a couple of honorable mentions, and I understand you do as well. So why don't you start us off with one of your honorable mentions?
Sure. One that came to mind for myself, as well as one of my coworkers who actually mentioned this to me, is styrofoam. And I immediately thought of those peanuts, which you don't really see anymore. It's mostly paper filler, but every once in a while, like grandma will send you a package and you'll open it up and it's just styrofoam peanuts, and they go everywhere and they blow everywhere. They're just the worst thing ever. And the noise it makes, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Yep. I can't. Never again. There has to be something better than that. It's a bad idea. So
I actually had that as one of my honorable mentions as well. Shout out to Gail McWeeny for writing that one into me. And ironically enough, 2 days ago, we had a furniture delivery for a new coffee bar in our kitchen. And it was one of those Wayfair deals that you have to assemble. And so they're all in panels, and you have those long expandable polystyrene panels to take up the negative space. And of course, now you have to break it down, and it creates those tiny little bubbles of EPS foam, and it's all over my living room. So afterwards, the cleanup took me longer than assembling the furniture itself. So I am right there with you. Annoying as hell.
They get everywhere. We actually recently had a Wayfair thing as well. And I, as you were saying that, I was like rehashing the cleanup.
Yep.
Was quite agitating. And I know, like in food packaging, for instance, sometimes there's dry ice and it's got to be shipped in it. But that's like it's a tub, it's literally a box in a box of styrofoam. It's when it's like a wasteful styrofoam. That's when it feels like unnecessary.
Well, it's the cheapest, easiest option, right?
Yeah.
I truly believe, and all cards on the table, folks, I don't know everything that Kristyn is here to share today. She doesn't know everything I'm here to share today, but I'm willing to bet that most of what we're going to talk about can be solved with money. If companies are willing to put more into their packaging materials, if they're willing to forego maybe EPR mandates or sustainability mandates, or if they know consumers are willing to just raise their prices, a lot of what we're talking about can be eliminated with more convenient packaging, but it's going to cost more. So the question is, are you as a consumer willing to pay for it?
Is it agitating enough to pay a little more?
Exactly. Kind of like the supply and demand curve. This is the cost versus annoying curve, right? And where does that intersect?
Yes. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it depends on how much more, right? So that would be the next question is like, I'd pay 10% more probably for the furniture.
Hmm.
Maybe, a little bit more. But then if you go, well, it's going to be double for that coffee bar, you probably just deal with the agitation.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. All right. My first honorable mention, special shout out to my longtime friend, Susan King. She mentioned how resealable pouches can be quite annoying when they won't zip back into place. And I feel that. A couple weeks ago, I bought one of those massive bags of Twizzlers, and it was resealable. And no matter how much I tried, I couldn't get it to reseal properly. Quite annoying.
I think in theory, that idea is really good, but I personally feel like they never reseal. Like, if you bought that bag 10 times, I bet you one of them would resell. I would love to know the hit rate on the quality checks on that line because they don't ever work. I think I actually intentionally don't buy them because you are paying more a lot of times for that type of packaging.
Yeah.
To go back to your previous point, because it's convenient. And when you're on the go, it's nice, but I don't think they ever work, really. Never. Very rarely, I guess.
And you assume as the consumer that if you're buying in bulk, you buying in larger quantity, you're saving cost, right? Buying that 20 gallon vat of mayonnaise versus the, 300 squeeze bottles of mayonnaise to get the same amount, you would think net you would spend less. But if you're paying more for the convenience of resealing, then again, they only last a couple days in my house anyway, so I guess the resealing function doesn't matter. We eat them too fast before they go bed.
Ask that. I was going to say, how many times are you actually trying to reseal it? And is it an issue with you just resealing it too frequently? That's why it doesn't work.
It could be. Yeah, that's a fair point. I always like to joke that I don't remember where I read it, but it said every pizza is a personal pizza if you just believe in yourself.
Yes.
So, every bag of Twizzlers is a single serving if you believe in yourself, I guess.
Yeah, the pizza one's a good one. I'm going to tell my husband that one. He would appreciate that. When there's like 2 pieces left, he's like, I can do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take it for the team. I'll finish it.
Yeah. Why waste having to package them up and put them in the fridge?
Why wait? No need for to use that aluminum foil and put it in the fridge. It's fine.
All right. What else you got?
This one is sort of packaging adjacent, but as a person who buys a lot, I am quite an online shopper. I do return a lot of things. My husband frequently says, one day they're going to charge people for returns because of people like you. And it's not like I'm buying it and using it. I just if I need something, I buy 5 and I'll see what I like. Anyways, how easy it is to return, i.e. the label. Does the label come inside the original package and you just have to cut it off and tape it to the box and take it to UPS? Or is it like a process? You got to go online, you got to do a QR code, you got to, I think that for at least from a consumer side of things, it definitely keeps you okay, this is an easy thing to return. So I'm probably more inclined to buy more. Now, how much is being returned? That's the question.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit, not specifically about the packaging, but about the way in which you use the packaging, I guess is probably a better way to put it. Okay.
So the overall online ordering return process.
Yeah.
To streamline that.
Totally. I know Banana Republic and Gap, you get the packing list, and then at the bottom, it's like a perf, and you tear it, and that's your return label right there.
Yeah.
So they do want you to go online and tell them that you're returning it, but you don't have to print out the label, right? It's physically there, and you can put it right back on the same box that it came in. It just makes it easier. And I probably buy more from them knowing that I can return it easily.
Yep. Another honorable mention that I have, which I thought was an interesting one, and I have personally zero experience in this, is medication in glass ampules. And I'm going to quote the person that sent it in. Shout out to Katie Tingley. The force requirement varies, quote, from stern look to Hulk hands, unquote, to open these things. I personally have never opened a glass ampule for medication. Obviously a single-use item. So I can only imagine, but, having studied packaging, I am familiar with glass ampules. I know how the whole process works. And I thought that was kind of interesting that from one to the next, there could be such a wide variation in the force required to open these things. So I can see how that can be quite troublesome.
Well, and more of just like you don't know if you can open it or not. I don't have any experience either, but even just sometimes medicine bottles, like sometimes they're like really, that's the one thing I can kind of associate this with is sometimes it's very easy to open them very for an adult. Obviously,
Yeah.
I get the concept. And sometimes I'm like, I can't, or a jar of spaghetti sauce, right? That's probably a better
Yep.
comparison where I'm got to call my husband and be like, can you come open this? Because I can't get it open. But when you're talking about something that's that little and also expensive in most cases, the opportunity for hulking it in your friend's case, and then I would imagine it kind of like either flying or dropping its glass. I mean, you'd think that they would have the tightening pressure on whatever that cap is relative throughout a right as someone
Yep.
who does the equipment, right? That would be like a setup.
One would think. I do have a trick for you though. So, being a packaging nerd, when you're dealing with wide mouth jars, like let's say a glass jar with a wide mouth lid, i.e., your spaghetti sauce example, if you're unable to open it, and I don't want to get into an argument of semantics as to what you call it, I call it a butter knife, even though I use it as a table knife, but the non-sharp knife, not a steak
Yeah.
knife, right? It's kind of rounded.
Okay.
Flip it over, hold it by the blade, and use the rounded handle of it and tap it at an angle all the way around the jar. Just hit the edge of the jar all the way around. You're kind of making little dents in there. Whatever's holding those threads in place, whether it be residual product or whatever, it kind of loosens it up and it's easier to torque off. Try that next time.
Huh. Noted. I'm storing that somewhere in my brain. I'll let you know how it goes.
I'll put the invoice in the mail. All right. My last honorable mention is produce netting, which I hadn't really thought about before. I thought that was pretty good too. I did a little bit of research on this, and when you go to the store and you buy a bag of those tangerines, which we go through a lot of those in my house, that's polyethylene or polypropylene typically. Is there a better way to do that? Maybe there's something that is more recyclable. Maybe there's some green materials you can use. Maybe there's a better way to do that, but that's something that could be improved upon, I think.
Totally. I didn't even think about produce. It didn't even cross my mind. I was so focused on the toy market, as you'll hear. Yeah, I mean, because once you cut it, that's what I do. I cut it and then I dump them into like a bowl. We have like the banana hanging and then the oranges. But then it starts to fray. And then you have the pieces all over the counter too from the netting.
Yeah.
I'm sure there has something to do with they want it to breathe and they want it to get sunlight and fluid to it. But yeah, there's definitely a better way to do that. I didn't even, but talk about cost. That thing is probably super cheap when you talk about the price per piece. And if you took that and made it paper, let's say, it would be, I don't know, 100 times more expensive. I'm just making up a number, but it would be a lot more.
Well, yeah, but if you made it paper, when you're talking produce, now you're talking about, high moisture environments potentially.
Yep.
And so if you're going paper, now you have to do some type of either bond agent or wax coating or something. And now all of a sudden you're adding, number one, cost and complexity, but number two, you're making it more difficult to then recycle that product.
Exactly.
So I'm sure the people that work in that industry are already thinking about it. But if you happen to be listening, I would love to hear for some ideas. But right now we're kind of coming up blank on how to replace that produce netting. So if you have any ideas, love to hear it.
That's a good one. We go through those things pretty much a bag a week in our house. So I feel like that residue from it's all over the counter every week.
Okay. Time to dive into our top three. Kristyn, I'll give you the honors as the lady and my special guest co-host. Feel free to start us off with your number three.
Okay. You've all received a package, probably from Amazon, that shows up on your front porch. And you thought to yourself, what did I buy? What is that? Because the only thing that you can remember buying is a pack of pens or a new water bottle. And you've got a box the size of, I don't know, half your front doorstep that's sitting there. That's my number three. When you get the little package inside the big box, or The little package is in a box that's in a box. And it's just the most, Amazon has this thing called frustration-free packaging. That is the opposite of frustration-free packaging. It's the exact opposite. And as you and I know, and many people that listen to this podcast, there are many machines that are called right size box machines made by many different companies that will fix that thing right there. So I still am perplexed on how Amazon has a distribution center that's sending out boxes that big.
So first off, great observation. The only explanation that I could come up with is when you get to be the size of an Amazon, there's a certain amount of standardization I think you have to achieve, because just considering economies of scale, right? They probably identify arguably 3 different formats, tubes, shipping containers, and then custom. And from there, they have very specific sizes that they buy from. And if they had to buy 1 million different sizes, you're buying 10,000 of 1 million different SKUs. Whereas if you're buying 10 million of 20 different SKUs, your economies of scale kick in and your cost per piece drop, obviously. So, and just thinking off the cuff here, if they were to go to like a pack size machine or something like that, and it makes a lot of sense, I wonder I have to believe that Amazon has looked into that and for some reason decided it's not appropriate for whatever reason. Now, maybe they need to do better inventory management, but I wonder how that would work in an Amazon fulfillment center, having a bunch of pack size machines. Hey, you know what? If they do that, then you need to lay claim to that. Say, hey, that was my idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I think I know what it is. I know that they do. You can tell by the box if it's right size or not, because it's not a standard box that has a tape on the top. So when you look at it, the seam's typically on the side and normally is like perforated. So when you're looking at it, you know if it's right size. But I really think it's that Amazon has so many resellers that a lot of the stuff isn't coming from an Amazon DC. It's coming from a reseller. So it's like Kristyn's logistics company that has a warehouse in Parsippany and ships stuff for Amazon. And I have 20 employees. I don't have a pack size machine. So in your case, economy of scale, I order 4 size boxes and they fit in those 4 size boxes and that's it. And then that's what I ship in. But I know that here at Wexler, sometimes I'll go in the back and I'll have our shipper guy like get me a quote on if I ship this next day or single day or something like that. And there is a size of the box where once you get, I don't know what the size is, but let's say once you get above 10 by 10 it is, that your UPS charges go up just because of the size of the box. So I just think to myself, that can't make sense. Did they just run out of boxes? Was this the only size box they had left? Like, it just doesn't, knowing what I know about e-commerce, and we do a fair amount there, there's something wrong there. Maybe just poor training. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Just poor training of an employee.
No, and that's a great point. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. I mean, obviously, the best processes in the world still rely, for the most part, on people, right? And so your people management comes into play, and people make poor decisions. Employees get disgruntled. Employees get tired. They want to go on break. They get distracted because they're trying to listen to a sports game, or my boyfriend broke up with me, and so I'm not in the right headspace, or my kid's sick. I need to get out of here, and a million different reasons why someone may not be paying enough attention, I should say.
Yeah.
Where the best process can fall apart. So no, that's a great point. I didn't think about it like that.
But it's just frustrating when you look at it and it's a pack of pens. If it comes in a shoebox, okay. A pack of pens in a shoebox makes sense. But a pack of pens in the box that your coffee bar came in from Wayfair just seems lazy. That's where I'm going to end. I'm going to put a pin in it there. It's just lazy, in my opinion.
You hear that? Kristyn's calling somebody out there lazy.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. All good. I had to apologize for the Lilith Fair comment. I was only kidding. Please don't cancel me for that. So my number 3, those Pillsbury biscuit cans. You ever buy those dinner biscuits or the breakfast deals, the cinnamon glazed bars and whatnot, and the paper never peels right, and then the inevitable anxiety when you press on that line, you want to try to get it to pop. No matter how prepared you are, it still startles the hell out of you. Those things annoy the crap out of me. They never open right.
Never. We do the pigs in the blanket in our house. That's
Yep.
big, so we use the
crescent rolls.
Crescent rolls. Thank you. And I'm like pushing it with the spoon. I'm banging it on the side of the table. If someone was recording me, they could send it to America's Funniest Home Videos. I mean, I'm so agitated with the thing. It's there has got to be a better way. I mean, I'm sure the pressure probably helps with the shelf life.
Yep.
But we got to call them. That's a really good one, Matt. That really, I'm sure most people can connect with that one. They can see themselves in the kitchen on a Saturday morning making biscuits.
Listen, if there's one person out there that's laughing along with this, then we're officially commiserating together. But yeah, that was definitely on my list.
It's so bad.
All right, Shaner, what else you got?
So yesterday we had my daughter's 4th birthday party, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law got her this doll, and you take it out and she's attached to the cardboard piece behind her. So this is kind of a 2-for-1. The first thing is every single appendage is zip tied. Arms, 2 places on each arms, 2 pieces on each legs. Her feet, it's like 100 different zip ties. I don't understand why it needs to be that many. But the part that really agitated me was it was Aurora, who's Sleeping Beauty. So her hair is very long. And her hair is literally sewn to the cardboard backing. So I have to get a pair of scissors and attempt to cut the stitch off without cutting the hair of the Barbie doll, because my daughter was like, please don't cut her hair. I don't get it. Just let her hair free flow. Why does it need to be affixed to the cardboard? This is fresh. This was like not even 24 hours ago. I'm just like, I did get it off and there was no hair cut off. Thanks. My daughter was very happy about that, but just was bad.
I can't say I really understand the whole doll concept. Never really been my thing. My youngest, a boy, didn't ever play with dolls. Middle one, she did to a certain extent, but I don't understand. I don't know why. What's the benefit of attaching the hair? I don't get it.
I don't either. If someone works for a toy company, can you please explain to us? And it was attached on both sides. So think about like put your hand on the top of your head and slide your fingers down like halfway down the back of your head. And that's where they were attached. And it was a good 6-inch piece with probably 20 stitches on each of them. So it wasn't like it was just like quickly attached. I mean,
yeah,
the amount of effort that it took to do that at the factory, probably in China, was like, I would imagine, or Vietnam or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me. And my daughter was just, please don't cut her hair. I mean, she was like to the moon about it. She thought I was going to destroy her brand new doll. So that was, the emotional roller coaster that it entailed once I got the packaging off and then found that I had to disconnect her head from the box as well. It's just, it feels like it's overdone. I don't really know what the purpose of that is.
All right. Mattel, Hasbro, what brands, American Girl, if you're out there, we need an explanation.
Melissa and Doug.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah,
hey, we know someone at Melissa and Doug.
We know somebody.
All right. We have contacts.
Make a phone call.
Yep.
I don't think Melissa and Doug would do that though, because their packaging they do a good job. They do. They're a little bit more thoughtful with their toys in general too. But it would be curious if they work at Melissa and Doug, they probably have a background in another toy company, I'm sure. We'll have to add an extra piece to this puzzle after we talk to our guy at Melissa.
Fair enough. All right. My next one, number 2, being that I have a degree in packaging engineering and I've worked in the packaging industry my entire career, it drives me absolutely bonkers when maybe people that live in my house, maybe not, cannot confirm nor deny. But when people open packages in a manner in which they were not intended or designed to be opened. For those of you that can't see my face right now, trust me, I'm frustrated. I can't even say this with a straight face. How annoying it is watching someone rip open a bag of potato chips or open a box of cereal and rip it down the side. Like it's sealed at the top. This is not difficult. This is not rocket surgery, which is a new favorite phrase of mine, by the way. I don't get it. Why is this so difficult? You would think that, okay, you could blame maybe like a new packaging format, consumers are unaware. No, it's the same cereal box that when I was a kid. Why is this so difficult? It drives me up a wall when I see this in my house. I literally, I'd have to like walk outside and get some fresh air because I'm ready to lose my crap.
Yeah, I think sometimes there are like a defect, right? Where you are sitting down, you go to open up a stick pack or something and, it's not perforated or the tear's not the right way on the top or something. That does happen from time to time, right? There are defects in the packaging. But most of the time, I think as we like to say at Wexler, that's an operator error. Right?
Yes.
We have somebody call in for troubleshooting on the phone, and then we're like, is the machine turned on? Operator error is a lot of it. And I think part of that is maybe, is it laziness or is it they don't have the attention to what the packaging was made for in the same way that you do? Like you're looking at it from a different vantage point.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I can see your face, so I can only imagine the conversations around the breakfast table after the box of cereal was ripped open the wrong way.
I have to temper myself and the tone I deliver it in and the words I choose because I will sound like an unhinged lunatic. I can only imagine sitting across the table from me having that conversation going, what the hell is wrong with him? It's cereal. Are you serious?
Yes.
But it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're like classically trained, if you will, know? So it's like you're watching somebody do something that seems, it's just totally wrong. And you can't help yourself but tell them that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But to them, it's such a insignificant thing that they don't care.
So you brought up a point about, sometimes you'll deal with someone and they'll have an equipment issue and you'll say, well, is the machine on? Have you ever heard of an ID 10T error?
ID 10T. No, but you're about to tell me this is about like an acronym or something.
No. If you do you have a pen and paper handy?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody listening at home, if you're driving, please don't do this, but write out ID 10T and tell me what it spells.
ID 10, like TEN?
No, just the number 10. ID 10T.
Oh, idiot.
Yeah.
I wrote ID, then the number 10. I'm like, that doesn't spell a word, Matt. Look,
thank you for proving my point.
Here you go. Prove your point. Yeah. We have a lot of those errors sometimes.
Yeah. ID 10T error.
That's so funny. No, I'm gonna take that one downstairs to the service guys. And I bet you they either know it or they know a version of it.
I hope so.
That's funny.
So a 2A, if you will, on that is like you were talking about if the packaging if there's a defect or something, but if you buy like a pack of Capri Suns and it's perforated and you go to pull on the perf to open the pack up and it never pulls on the perf. Having worked in especially paper, but having worked in a paper industry and knowing just how intricate those perfs can be, it's a fine line between just right and too deep or not deep enough. Too deep on the perfs and it falls apart. Not deep enough and you get what I'm mentioning where it tears and it's very jagged and ugly looking. So I can understand that, but it's still annoying.
Yeah, last year, I actually just thought of an experience. We were at the Rutgers IAB board meeting. Matt and I are both, Professor Mulvey is obviously on the board because he's a professor now, but we're both lucky enough to work with Rutgers on their packaging board. And one of the gentlemen that was with us was from Unilever. And we were having sandwiches and we were opening up mayonnaise, little packs of mayonnaise. Do you remember this? And they weren't opening. And he was like, oh, don't get me started on these single-use packs. They've been such a pain. Like he didn't even, as soon as I went to pull it, he didn't even need me to say anything. He knew it was an issue. And he's like, we just fixed it. They'll be better now. It was very, his face was like, he was upset. And he's like, of course you have my mayonnaise here. Of course, and it was kind of playful. We played around with it a little bit, but to your point, it's a big organization, just like even Unilever, there's just little changes on a machine where you can make small little critical changes to that machine that will then create kind of a domino effect in the product.
Yeah. What I find interesting is that's a second random mayonnaise reference we've made in this one podcast episode.
That's true.
We might have set a record.
Your condiment of choice?
No.
On a sandwich?
No, it's not. My condiment of choice would be like a spicy mustard. I have a bottle of. Actually, my father bought it for me down in Myrtle Beach. It's a brand called Coops, which I guess they have down south. We don't have it up here, or at least not that I'm aware of.
Yes, I've heard of Coops before.
But it's like a Gildan's spicy brown mustard, but it's a jalapeno flavor, so it's got it's infused with that jalapeno, so it's got some kick to it. That's good. I like a spicy mustard. That's my choice.
That's your. Yeah, I'm mayo. I'm a mayo. Unless it's like there's certain sandwiches that lend themselves to a mustard.
Mm-hmm.
Like a ham and cheese, I think that's a mustard sandwich, but I'm a mayo person.
Okay.
So you can blame it on me for the double mayo.
Well, I brought I did the first one, so that was on me. That's fine.
Oh, true. Yes, you did.
All right. So drum roll, please. Shaner, what's your number one packaging pet peeve?
So according to Wikipedia, I know that's a great source, but 6,000 people a year go to the hospital due to this packaging style, which I thought was quite interesting. It's the clamshell, the blister toy clamshell. And I currently have a Polly Pocket for my child sitting on the dining room table that I refused to open yesterday. Refused. I just kept hiding it from her. I can't. Why do they still make packaging like that? It's the heat sealed, plastic on plastic. You need the knife to get it out. 6,000 people a year.
So it's funny. After you said 6,000 people a year were injured or not, that's exactly where my head went, because that is my number one also. That's hilarious. I was specifically on the scissors in blisters, because you need the scissors to open the blister, but the scissors that you need are still in the blister. So it's like a chicken or the egg scenario. And I find it hilarious.
Yeah. Now, I will say that there have been, so I wrote down, it's better with a cardboard back. You'll see that now that some companies have gone with a cardboard back with a printed blister card.
It's a heat seal card.
Yeah. And then they put the clam on top. So at least you can tear the plastic off.
Yep.
Not so intense. I mean, sometimes you got to take the scissors to that, but it's not as bad. So we're moving in a direction that's getting there, but it has to be money. It has to be the cheapest way to do it. Because otherwise I don't think anyone would do that to anybody. It's like it's cruel and unusual punishment, actually, is what I think it is.
So cost of goods is definitely cheaper. The two most common ways that I'm familiar with for sealing are either heat sealing or RF welding, which are not expensive technologies.
Exactly.
The barriers to entry for automation are not really high. And the machines they don't take up a ton of space. Like you can go out and you can buy a 3-station, 4-station machine and you can fit it in a medium-sized bedroom in your home.
Yeah, so, you're right. They're not. So
from that perspective, I think that's why part of the reason why you see a lot of that format out there. As far as, again, I go back to I have to believe if there's a better technology out there that's able to be commercialized, people would already be in it, right? I mean, when you're in business, you're going to go with the cheapest option cost-wise to still keep your customers happy, right? I mean, unless you're a luxury brand and you're going above and beyond, you're really looking at pinching pennies wherever possible. And so if this is what's out there on the market, I have to believe that there's nothing better, from a cost of goods reproducibility perspective. And if there is, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, but us parents on Christmas morning are not happy.
Yeah.
It's like I want to take them apart before I wrap them, but then they're not all like in the, they do a good job of they get the little pockets and they put them in and they make it look nice. And I didn't even know they made Polly Pockets anymore. Yeah, I don't know. And those 80s babies that are listening to this, I thought that was like, I opened it up. I'm like, they're making this still? And then when I realized it was the clamshell, I wanted to throw it out the window.
Yeah.
I'll report back if I'm one of those 6,000 people that needs to go to the hospital for a year when I try to open up my daughter's Polly Pocket. Because I'm sure tonight she's going to find it, bring it to me, and make me open it.
Kristyn Shaner, 6001. So many, many moons ago, I worked for Pfizer Consumer Healthcare, and I was part of the team that launched the Listerine Pocket Mist, which was a big deal. And so my focus was the secondary packaging on that line, or on that launch, I should say. And so when we launched it initially, and I believe it came out, the single and the single and the dual device were in a heat seal card. So it was a paperboard backing with a thermoformed, or I should say, I don't remember if it was thermoformed or cold formed, but a formed blister. And above and beyond that, rather than forcing the consumer to rip the two apart, we added a perforation on the back. Like when you buy AA batteries or AAA batteries, there's a perforated window to access the device from the back. And I will say that I spent more time on that perf design than I did on anything else in the secondary packaging, just to show how complicated and how much work and labor hours went into all the different design iterations and testing and whatnot.
Yes, but your consumers were so happy that you did that.
I hope so.
So all the time and effort that Matt Mulvey put into that, everyone appreciates. It's funny, I have a customer, when you said Listerine, you know this company too, a contract packager that's down in South Jersey. They do a lot of the Costco, Sam's Club, wholesale clubs of the Listerine, the little sheets you put on your tongue.
Yeah, the pocket packs. That was the initial.
There
yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do like a 5-pack or a 6-pack of them. And about a year
They still
and a half
make
ago,
those?
they do. They
Wow.
do. And this company this line runs all the time, but they just transferred it over to all plastic. It's all paperboard now.
Okay.
And I think maybe there's just a little piece of plastic that sits on top of the actual packs themselves, but it's paper now. And I remember going into the line and being like, "Oh, you made the change." He goes, "Yeah, it took forever. It took a lot of tooling, a lot of changing, but does Pfizer still own Listerine, or is someone else?"
No. So
Is that a Unilever product now?
No, 2006, Pfizer sold their consumer healthcare division to Johnson & Johnson.
Yes.
And then that brand, along with many others that I used to support, fell under the Kenvue umbrella.
Yeah.
So I believe Listerine is a Kenvue brand now.
It is still,
and has been for quite a while now. Okay.
2006, you're right.
Yep.
In 2006, Johnson & Johnson acquired the brand from Pfizer. And now, since the separation of those companies, it's still a Kenvue product. So sorry, Kenvue, my fault for calling it a Pfizer product. That was bad of me. I did know about the consumer change over there too, so I should have known better. But yeah, I guess they decided, now whether that could have been pressure from the wholesale club, where the wholesale club said, we don't want the plastic on plastic anymore, or if that was Kenvue making a sustainability decision. But I remember when they changed those lines over, and I remember the maintenance manager there, I have a really good relationship with him, and he was just like, it's finally running again. Because to your point, it was so painful to make that change. But as the contract packager and contract manufacturer, they don't have a choice. They have to make the change in order to keep the business.
And what the average consumer doesn't understand is even the most minute of changes to a packaging format can take months and a lot of money and a lot of work by a lot of different people to get it through the automation process and get it out to store shelves. And it's sometimes it can be quite ridiculous. So something as simple as maybe a heat seal card perf design is a minor change. You go to your folding carton supplier and they change their tooling up a little bit, and maybe that's a 3-week turnaround. But something you change the size of the heat seal card. Well, now you're looking at new tooling, and so you have to design your unit tooling and test that, and then you have to see if the 4 across on your machine still fits that platform. But no, now you have to switch to 3. So now you're looking at slower cycle speed, and now you have to run longer, and then maybe you have to add another shift, and all the implications from a minor change to go from a 5-inch wide heat seal card to a 5.5-inch heat seal card, right?
And that's why marketing and manufacturing do not get along.
Well, that's why packaging engineers exist, so we can sit there in the middle and talk to both of them.
Yeah, because marketing is like, oh, we're just adding a perforation to the back of the panel. It'll be easy. Consumer tests prove that the customer will repurchase if there's a panel back then, and then to your point, manufacturing is like, do you know what it's going to take to do that? And then there's someone like you in the middle, like you said, that will be like, don't worry, I'll figure this out, guys. The genius button.
Well, I don't know about genius, but okay, I'll accept that.
Take the compliment.
I thank you. I appreciate that. I get so few that I don't know how to accept them. So talking about scissors and blisters, and again, folks, sorry you can't see, but Kristyn gets to see, and she's seen this before. At my desk in my home office, and I'm holding it in my hand up on the screen, is the As Seen on TV, Stop Struggling with Those Stubborn Plastic Packages deal. I've actually brought this to multiple events at Rutgers and shown the students. This is my favorite package out there on the market. It is a tool that is designed to open clamshell packaging, and it is packaged in a clamshell package. So circling back to my chicken or the egg scenario, I love the irony of this package. And it's funny, I talked about it for years, and then I finally said, you know what? I need to actually go buy this so that I can have a physical copy of it. So I bought that a couple of years ago, and I'm not going to open it because I'll be 6,002. But I do keep it in the clamshell as a reminder of the irony of package design sometimes.
You should make the little photo for this episode, that picture of that.
You know what? That's a great idea. I like that.
So then everybody can look at the what is it called? The thumbnail or
thumbnail picture.
Make it a picture of that package. Everybody knows what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But when they see it, they're really gonna it'll really run them.
That is a great
down
idea.
Lane. Like, it's just the dumbest thing ever. It's just I'm sorry. I don't like to call people stupid. Everybody, I'm, different levels of education and knowledge, but the person that designed that package was just dumb.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I like the fact that you and I are both on the same page that clamshell packaging is our number one. That's obviously a pet peeve, and, misery loves company. So I'm glad we're aligned on that.
Yeah. And anyone that has kids or is a grandparent or is a niece or nephew and has ever attempted to open something like that. I mean, it's very common in toy packaging, but to your point, it's, that's a pair of scissors. It's the same thing. There's so many places. I would ask all of you, next time you go to Target, just walk up and down the aisle and see how many things are in clamshells. You'd be surprised. It's really a lot of packages. And you think to yourself, to your point, as you had said before, there has to be a better way. But I think it really comes back to the cost of goods is really what it comes down to your point. And I didn't think about how that equipment being smaller and not, low barrier for entry on cost. That it's a really valid point, which, again, to your point, the consumer does not think about. They just buy the package, but they don't think about what happened to get the package there.
They know how much they paid for it, and they know how difficult it is to get into it, and that's and how the product itself works. That's all they see, right? That 3 feet in front of their own face. They don't see everything else behind the scenes that would go into making that package more consumer friendly, right? Could it be done? 100%. But that $4 pair of scissors just became $9. Are you still going to pay $9 for that pair of scissors, or are you going to say, the heck with it, I'm going to figure out something else? Right. Yeah. So companies are forced to do that analysis and go, all right, well, people are willing to pay $4. Are they willing to pay $5, $6, $7? What's the number? And then what is the most ideal package that we can mass produce at that number? Still make a profit, still give our quarterly dividends, stock price goes up, or, owner, hey, how do I buy my second Maserati? If that's your thing, right? But those analyses are taking place. The question is, when will the next level of technology come out to replace these damn clamshells?
Yeah. Or when will consumers pushed so hard up against probably never clamshells, but there's certain industries where, to go back to the styrofoam, right? There's like Dunkin' Donuts was always known for their styrofoam cup. And you go to a Dunkin' Donuts in Massachusetts now, no more styrofoam cups, because the consumers in Massachusetts and the representatives, they said no more styrofoam because they know it's bad for the environment. So they made a decision, and then Dunkin' Donuts had to make a change. But I guarantee that Dunkin' Donuts wouldn't have went away from that styrofoam cup if they weren't forced to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was such a brand recognized thing for them. And you'll see that with Chick-fil-A too. It's funny, sometimes you go to Chick-fil-A and you get a styrofoam cup, and sometimes you don't, depending on what state you're in. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
No, I haven't really paid that much attention to it, but obviously now now that you've brought it up, I will.
Yeah.
I'll be looking.
Yeah.
So we got through our top 3. Thank you for coming prepared and bringing your list with you. So now here comes the hook. If you're out there listening to this episode, as we hope many of you are, and you have an idea or several ideas on how to address some of these packaging pet peeves, please consider reaching out. Track me down through LinkedIn, send a message through the contact form at www.precisionengsolutions.com, or if you know Kristyn, reach out to Kristyn directly. We would love to hear back. Maybe if we get some good ideas, we schedule a follow-up episode to talk about some of those ideas. Who knows?
It's also interesting to hear sometimes the reason behind, right? I would be curious to talk to somebody who went through the cogs of the package like that and said yeah, we did look at that, but the barrier for entry was the cost of goods for entry, was $5. And if we went above $5, we're not selling them, right? That would be like a case study that supported that. That would be interesting. So somebody works at a consumer goods brand or at a toy company, and they said, yeah, we actually looked into it, and this is what the data showed. Me and you would geek out, I think, on that data a little bit.
I think so, yeah. Well, an episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast would not be complete without a random trivia tidbit. Are you ready?
I'm born ready for yours.
Oh, I'm teeing you up. You're going to be disappointed. Did you know that 87.4% of all random percentages are fabricated on the spot? But
That is not where I thought you were going. But if you had to ask me what percentage was, I probably would have said 75.
Okay.
I would say
lowballing a little
I would
bit.
have gone maybe not that high, but I would have went pretty high.
So if you're going to bullshit somebody, throwing that 0.4% sounds so much more realistic and accurate just by adding that decimal place. If you just go straight 75%, people are like, it just sounds like you're fudging numbers. But as soon as you add that 0.4, they're like, ooh, okay, I'm paying attention now.
It seems more legit.
Food for thought.
Noted.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I can't wait to go home and open that Polly Pocket pouch.
Please be careful.
I will. I'll report back so you know I'm not in the hospital.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to sign off from this episode. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate the support. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast. We hope you enjoyed the content and maybe learned something new. If you have ideas for future guests or topics, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to send a connection request on LinkedIn or visit www.precisionengsolutions.com and use the contact form. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us once more on the next episode of the Packaging Etc. podcast. Until then.